Okay, so this is just a really quick update. I wanted to talk about some things that I've been doing. I'm just kind of going through, hammering out characters, seeing what I can do with them. So, here's Eddie. The funny thing about Eddie is like he doesn't actually have like a landing animation per se because he couldn't jump in the original game. He didn't have a jump. Oh yeah, there's his idle animation. He chooses gum. Um, Mel Brooks in Spaceballs, chew your gum. But so basically, I allowed him to jump now, so he can jump. And his landing animation is actually kind of like clumsily falling, which I think kind of works for him because the character is supposed to be kind of like a comical, um, you know, buffoon, kind of like a satire of the corrupt cop. And so, yeah, so there's Eddie. His weak attack is a punch like this, and the strong attack is beating you with his, baton there. And then his special attack is, you guessed it, and actually, like the animation in the original game for the, for shooting actually kind of sucks. It's just really static. He just takes out the gun and shoots, and there's nothing. So you notice in my animation, I actually am moving his arm, so you can see his arm shake when he fires, and it actually kind of gives you that extra oomph, when he's shooting his gun, and I think that adds a lot of impact to it. Especially with the sound effect in there. I have the sound volume turned all the way down right now, but yeah, the sound like has a lot of punch. So I think it looks pretty good. Um, yeah, so Eddie's going to be kind of a fun character. I mean, like after you unlock Eddie, I mean, it does kind of make a joke out of the game because you're basically just going to be able to go around and just shoot everyone, which is kind of hilarious. But yeah, I mean, but once again though, it's like basically these extra characters are just really in here for fun. Um, and it's just kind of like a bonus, really after you just beat the game and just want to kind of like fool around. So that's Eddie. The other guy I've been working on is our friend Hollywood slash Elgato, and he's turning out pretty well too. The charge and uh, like the charge system that I built into the game for Sodom is actually like really paying off because it works really well for his slide attack. So if you double tap forward and do an attack, that's a slide move. And yeah, so he has a slide. He has his jump attack, of course. With his stabbing attack, he can do a charge punch. Um, and yeah, he's that's our buddy, Hollywood Elgato. And actually, his special attack is to throw his knife. As you can see, I haven't put in the projectile system yet. So basically, the projectile system is going to cover multiple things. Basically the last boss, shooting his arrows. Eddie shooting his bullets, and various characters, throwing knives or whatever projectiles. So once that's in, that'll be hooked up. But yeah, I mean, it's coming along. I mean, the characters, as you can see, are kind of piling up. There really aren't that many more. Yeah, because I mean, actually, like a lot of the remaining characters just don't have a lot of art assets in there to do different things. I mean, like Axel and Slash, they if like Axel and Slash don't have a lot of animations. And they couldn't even jump in the original game, but they're going to be able to jump in this one. I'm going to come up with something for them, try to make them as interesting as possible. But yeah, the other thing about this game though too is that basically there aren't going to be any more like special cases because like in the original game, the characters, like the enemies could basically cheat. They could just like move at arbitrary speeds, like warp around the screen to catch up to you. Their behavior was inconsistent. But the thing that's going to be interesting about this game is that there are no special cases. So basically, the enemies will behave the same way that you behave when you're playing as that enemy. And so all the behavior is going to be consistent. There isn't going to be any cheating. There isn't going to be any special case scenarios where the enemies like move faster, move differently. It's all just going to be however it is like when you actually play. So the game is going to be actually a lot more fair than the original was. Like philosophically. See, here's the thing. A lot of people are really obsessed with the concept of like game difficulty and and balance issues related to game difficulty. But I've come to an understanding, I think, about the way you make games that I think is actually a little bit more interesting than a lot of game designers seem to think games are. Because if you really think about what the essence of games are, video games, especially games like Final Fight, I won't even say video games, I'll say beat 'em up games. If you really boil them down to their essence, they're essentially just really intricate, sophisticated stress balls. It's satisfying squeezing a stress ball. It's a repetitive act, and you have some tactile feedback, and it feels good, and it's a relief. And it really, that is what a beat 'em up is. Beat 'em up games, you essentially repeat the same 5 seconds of gameplay over and over again for 30 minutes to an hour, and then the game ends. That's what they are. And so that 5 seconds of gameplay has to be really satisfying, and it has to be something that gives you a nice feedback loop that just kind of allows you to blow off steam and just have fun for a little while. That's really all like a beat 'em up is. So like when you're not in the context of an arcade and you don't care about bleeding people for quarters, the game basically just has to be a fun stress ball that you can squeeze for around an hour. That's really all these games are. So that's why I said that's why it's kind of interesting to come at this stuff from like a different perspective. I don't care about money. I don't care about trying to bleed people dry. I don't care about trying to constantly kill the player or do unfair things or whatever. The whole everything going into this game is just making that 5 seconds of gameplay that repeats fun. That's all I think about when I'm working on this game. Is that 5 seconds of gameplay fun? Does it feel good to do the slide attack? Is it satisfying to juggle the enemy in the air? Is it fun and interesting to squeeze that stress ball over and over again for 30 minutes to an hour? That's really all this is. And I think that's kind of what's funny about like a lot of game design. People are so worried about spectacle and doing all of this fancy nonsense, and they miss that 5 second game loop. The actual just core gameplay isn't fun. And I think you'll find like with all the best games, all you have to do is make that 5 second loop fun, just fun in and of itself, just to do over and over again. It doesn't really matter how long your game is. It doesn't really matter if you have cutscenes or fancy garbage. If that 5 seconds is fun and you can just keep doing it and enjoy it, that's all you need. Even if your game is short, it'll just be fun to endlessly replay. So that's my attitude. That's how this is being done.